What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? I kinda miss ranking stuff, so here you go. Some fun ranking the strongest weapons in Outward, at least potentially. EV, or Elemental Vulnerability, is the most useful debuff in Outward. This makes the target 25% weaker to all elemental damage, so statuses become more effective. Magic skyrockets from amazing to truly overpowered, and certain weapons turn into tools of mass destruction. But how the heck do you apply this? And really, the better question is, what is the best way to apply it? Well, you're in luck, because today we're gonna find out. This is every EV weapon in Outward ranked from worst to best. One of the few early game options you have is the Blacksmith's Vintage Hammer. Buy it from the blacksmith in Berg for 300 silver, a one-handed mace that's going to build up EV in only 3 hits. But yeah, that doesn't mean much. With super short reach, low damage overall, and not enough impact to push over anything, it's really bad. To be fair, it's an ingredient for the sword brand, meaning it isn't supposed to be good. Either way, a terrible option for this playstyle, especially since it doesn't do any elemental damage. F tier. Ether Wave is an enchantment you can place on Damascus or Masterpiece weapons. You can find these in ornate chests around Caldera and can legacy them for stronger versions, ignoring the fact that those endgame weapons are just good, not really crazy or anything unless you know specifically how to build for them. They also don't deal any elemental damage and build up EV at 20%. That is almost useless. Most enemies are going to be dead by the time this applies, and you must use a varnish for it to benefit you. Somewhat mediocre weapons, late game enchant, bad buildup, and honestly, there are far better enchants for these items. Though technically, it does come in handy for arena bosses who are going to have loads of HP. D tier. The Crescent Great Axe is not half bad at all. Crafted with shark cartilage from the desert sharks, it is extremely quick to swing and deals enough ethereal damage to benefit from the status. 3 hits is all it takes, and those connect easily. Not your best option late game, but early on and maybe into some DLC content, you can trash anything by just throwing a varnish on. Sadly, the durability is terrible, and you're going to be forced to enchant this with Poltergeist, or end up repairing every 5 minutes. I'm also not the biggest fan of this being a Great Axe, the weapon type most known for using crazy amounts of stamina. Personally, I'd rather have a more DPS-centered Great Axe to make up for that extra stamina drain. Underrated weapon though, for sure. C tier. Pathfinder Claymore is a two-handed sword that could be found in a few places, mainly from a bandit captain during the Purifier quest. I've also seen it a few times being sold from the smuggler in Levant slums. Extremely high decay damage that pairs nicely with 3 hits to inflict vulnerability. You get some massive length to attack at safety, and I really love the idea of this item, but actually using it is kinda tough. With almost the slowest swing speed possible, you require Wind Imbue to make it work. Not only that, but its durability is kinda trash. Usually the Poltergeist enchant can make up for that, as it adds half the physical damage as raw and repairs over time. However, this thing has such little physical damage that for once, Poltergeist isn't very good. A lot better in concept than it is in actual combat. B tier. Mace of Seasons is a boss weapon crafted with those unique arena materials. Once again, 3 hits will inflict the status, and on the surface, this is a strong option. Tons of physical damage and impact that can wreck monsters quickly. But dude, this is a boss weapon, and it comes with no elemental damage to benefit from the EV. I will never understand that, as yes, varnishes do well, and you can pair it with magic too. Then again, a boss weapon that's hard to get due to drops, and I mean, the thing looks way cool. Why is it just decent? Find a way to apply pain with maybe the Warrior Monk skill tree, apply Ice Imbue or Fire Imbue, and it wrecks anything. Gotta ding it out of principle though, because even just 10 lightning damage would have been perfect. B tier. I give you the incredible Crescent Scythe. While having the exact same stats as the Great Axe, it feels way better. Swings faster than almost any other weapon in the game, deals ethereal, which is one of the best elemental types, has great impact, and inflicts EV in only 3 hits. The downsides are identical. You must enchant it with Poltergeist, so it repairs the horrible durability. Overall damage is lower, so it doesn't scale great into late game, but man, get something good like Blood Infuse or Mana Infuse, and this can be your new favorite weapon. Enemies fall over so quickly, and you can dodge much easier since it has that 1.2 attack speed. Probably the most underrated weapon in the entire game from what I've seen. A tad tricky to get outside the desert, but strong for sure. A tier. You might be familiar with the strange rusted sword. Scale up Conflux Mountain in Chersonese and pull it out as the sword in the stone. Similar to the blacksmith's hammer, it's an ingredient for the weapon brand, but this one's actually good. 3 hits to inflict, neutral attack speed so it feels easy enough to pull off, and can be grabbed for free 30 minutes into starting a new character. The problem is you really are going to want to turn this into brand if you can. So yeah, nobody's using this except early on, but for where you get it, this might be the best weapon. As a mage player in particular, you now have a way to deal actually good damage. Hit a few times, then breathe fire with flamethrower. Without super strong magic you can learn much later, this tactic can carry you through monsters that should be unbeatable at that time. Also, since you just want the status buildup, you don't have to care much about its durability almost not existing at all. A tier. Redemption is an enchant that might fly under the radar for most people. This goes on the Prayer Claymore or Sinner Claymore, the legacy upgrade for it. What this actually gives you is a lot. Plus 20% lightning damage bonus, the weapon inflicts doomed or 25% weakness to lightning in 4 hits. It also inflicts elemental vulnerability, but it does take 5 or 6 hits to apply that. The reason this is so busted is you weaken enemies to lightning damage by 50% from just this weapon. It is one of those that doesn't have elemental damage on it, but wow, is that a huge weakness. I tried the weapon itself and have to say the damage is pretty meh for what you would think. So instead, I'm thinking you pair it up with Wind Sigil. Just imagine how devastating a single lightning explosion would be after weakening enemies by 50%. Sadly, the buildup is trash, and this only works on Caldera enemies or bosses because of having higher HP. But oh boy, is it highly effective at killing bosses specifically. S tier. One of my favorites is the Fabulous Palladium Shield. You can find this in an old giant warehouse. Take every type of gem through the swamp to unlock a small trog den where you will find a colorful shield. The thing about shields in Outward is they serve one purpose: to block lots of damage. You can block far longer with them equipped, and while shield charge does exist to deal damage, there are a few times where that is the center of your build. Well, with this, you pop one skill, and because it hits twice with 60% buildup, you almost always inflict vulnerability. You can miss, which sucks when it happens, but connect correctly, and it's one of the quickest and most consistent methods for applying that extra damage debuff. S tier. Palladium Knuckles are an interesting one because they have a hidden feature. While not stating it anywhere on the item, they do in fact build up elemental vulnerability. Not only that, but it does so in just 2 hits with 60% buildup. But it still gets even better. Knuckles just so happen to hit twice for every time you attack. So technically, one single attack builds up the EV. This is by far one of the quickest ways to apply it, and the gauntlets have innate lightning built into them already. I like Poltergeist as an enchant, though you can instead use Castigation to further increase its lightning amount. They aren't particularly fast for Knuckles, which might take some getting used to. However, there's some incredible potential here for nuking enemies with lightning. S tier. Everyone's favorite Chimera pistol is 100% buildup in a single shot. This is arguably the most powerful pistol for most people, although I can assure you there's one even better than this. Just load a bullet before combat, enter with the shot, and you can safely revert back to melee. Or get cheesy with it and fire multiple pistols like the Obsidian pistol. Filled up with Ice Shot, nothing in the game stands a chance. The thing is, it's a little tricky to get, as you need to complete Blood Under the Sun, or it's not available to you at all. On top of that, it's extremely expensive. Still, you almost can't miss pistol shots, and with the only 100% buildup of elemental vulnerability in the game, it's a powerful option. S tier. So what actually is the best EV weapon in Outward? That has to be the Frozen Chakram, one of my favorite weapons in the entire game and something that annihilates everything you throw at it. This can be bought from Soroborian caravanners found in the open regions, costing 20 gold bars mind you, which is not cheap. Chakrams are one of the more interesting ways to deal damage, as they're basically melee that uses magic instead of stamina. You throw the disc out, deal some immense amounts of stagger, and then combo with a melee weapon. Well, considering your first Chakram skill hits twice, you can just use 2 skills to build up EV, and then go ham with Chakram Dance or something else. The kicker is this disc deals 22 physical damage and 22 cold damage, the only elemental vulnerability option that deals a high amount of elemental damage right out. Specifically pair this up with Ice Sigil, Sky Crown, and an Ice Varnish. Now those cold builds get to have their time in the sun. S tier. And there you have every Elemental Vulnerability weapon ranked in Outward Definitive Edition. I believe that is all of them, and honestly, you've got some great choices. There are a few enemies that inflict this as well, though you'll very rarely see it outside the Desert Sharks. Typically, I love to use the offhand options, such as the Shield, Pistol, and Chakram, so my main hand gets a nice buff. Though I will say the Crescent Scythe feels highly satisfying to use as well. Other than that, thanks for watching the video, and I'll catch you next time.